Javigna, and this is
Chirag, nice to see you guys again. We're here with an upgrade review or a review.
a
of
review
upgrade.
of Upgrade. Yeah, that's more like it.
Upgrade review still we upgrade. Right?
Yeah, we're still Upgrade. Okay. And I mean, this is the movie that we had long been waiting to review for a while at least.
I think it's one of the best sci-fi movies I've seen of late, and it's not a big budget movie. It's really low. It's on a shoestring budget, so it's like a $3 to $5 million production budget. That's nothing in Hollywood. I think they've done a bang-up job of like how well they've presented everything in the movie itself. I think that's a fantastic achievement in itself. It's like the Raid series, but there's not much action.
Well,
Raid series-
albeit even though there's not that much action in this movie, the action is very memorable because it's a little offbeat. There is no, I think there's no flow.
There's no flow
to
in
the
that.
actions whatsoever.
It doesn't seem like it's something that you'd see your usual martial artists, MMA guys doing like in the ring or something. They're always flowing, they're flying and doing a bunch of things, but this is very robotic.
Yet at the same time, even though it's so robotic, they still, I mean, from a little boy's point of view who likes to fight, I still saw myself wanting to
Yes.
to fight like that.
It was fantastically well done. It was so structured, but that gave beauty to the action sequences. The structure itself wasn't, you couldn't see it unless you were really looking for it. There was a flow to it, but it was robotic. And
Direct in the face kind
in
of
the
action.
face thing.
Yeah, literally in the face many times. I think he's mutilated so many people's faces in this movie. If you
for
have a weak stomach for a little bit of gore, not too much, but a little bit of gore, it might be a little hard to swallow.
Yes, definitely. They didn't hold back on all the essentials, and it's a gory film, of course, because the director is a writer from the Saw series. He's Lee Vanell.
Lee
Vanell, as I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
But he was one of the writers of the Saw series, Insidious, and him and James Wan started that whole thing, and they were doing a bang-up job. They like low-budget movies because that kind of gives them creative control and lets them do whatever they want to do and whatever they envision as when they want to shoot something. It's their story and it's told their way. They don't have to worry about people saying no. So that's a fantastic thing. That's why the films come out so well. It's so well cut, so well shot actually. I don't think they've really released their creative expression in this. You can see it in every frame. There's this channel called Every Frame a Painting.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't watched that, you should
Check
go
it out
check
in
it
the
out.
description below. These guys are really good in the way that they review movies and themes in general as well.
So I think Every Frame, it was literally a painting in Upgrade.
Very aesthetically pleasing.
You can pause it at any moment, any given time, wherever, whenever, however, and it's a painting. There is nothing in that entire film that I could critique about, it looked bad. That didn't exist. I think it was superbly well crafted. Just the shots, every single shot has meaning, and every single dialogue has essence to it, which was excellent.
I mean, also it goes with the entire premise, and since they're bringing a premise which is not exactly from our time, in a world where automated cars are quite common, it's pretty cool. Like I think the car that they used in the movie is very similar to Volvo's new automated concept car, so I thought that was very interesting as well.
Yeah, they're actually tapping into a lot of new age technology that you can see that's going to come up really soon. And when they establish the city, they establish everything that you will see in the movie, every plot point that you will see in the movie. So they showed the two major AI companies or the tech companies that were featured in the movie. That was Vessel and Cobalt.
Well, what I enjoyed about this movie is that it's the Judgment Day movie that we've been waiting for, except
Oh,
it's come in a very alternative
yeah, it's.
way,
I
right?
didn't think of that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a Terminator movie,
it's like a Terminator movie.
except the Terminator is not what we're expecting.
Yeah,
So I don't want to give up too much of the plot twist, but it might come up later on in the video, so you've been warned right now.
they've been warned before. That's
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, yeah, that's your job. That's fine. Okay. And also, I think that it's a better movie. It's a better Venom movie than the Venom movie that
Yes,
released recently.
absolutely. I think though Tom Hardy was the saving grace of Venom, and he kind of really if he wasn't there, I don't think Venom would really be worth spending money to go see in the theater.
Yeah.
Just wait for it on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever other subscription service you have.
But the main reason that we brought up Venom was because
Of the
you
symbiote
just to
relationship.
yeah the symbiote relationship and to bring a contrast as to how it's better because the premise and the explanations each and every character gives sticks to the background and the entire universe that they've created. So
Yeah, actually, in this,
yeah,
like each character has an important role to play in the movie. There are no useless roles. Every single character has something valuable to offer to either the protagonist or the antagonist or whoever else is there. Everything is
right,
very
right.
cleanly connected.
It's a very lean cast as well. There's
Yeah,
not too
they
many characters considering the fact that they move around a lot in the movie as well.
I think that was due to the budget constraints. They didn't want to have too many people, too many things happening in every scene.
Yeah,
So they wanted to trim it down to its
the main
essence.
reason I said that is because not only is it in the characters as well, but even in the entire scenes that they painted out, like the houses that they stay in, the kind of interiors and decor and offices
Yeah.
that they go to, they also have a very similar minimalistic approach to small things in big spaces.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think they've tried to capitalize on the whole tech advancements. So it's like the wall is not just a wall; it's also a TV or it's a fridge or it has something that will help you with something else and everything like that. And it's a great contrast to the actor who hates this much of automation. He likes doing things with his hands. He likes to do things himself.
He listens to the
He
blues
listens to
and
the classic blues. He doesn't
yeah,
listen to modern pop music, or he doesn't listen to anything usual. And he likes working on cars that have gas engines, and you have to tweak it with little nuts and bolts, and you don't have to worry about calling the service center and they get you a new car. It's not like an Apple device.
yeah. Oh, it's not like an Apple device. At the same time, it kind of gives an idea as to the kind of lifestyle that we can lead in the future and the way that they paint that. The convenience of that is really good as well. Um, for example, this small robots that make you food in your kitchen,
Yeah, I want that.
the automated car that allows you to not pay attention to the road and you can concentrate on making out rather instead. There was a scene like that in the movie, so it's like I was like, I wouldn't mind having an automated car just for that one
Tesla
reason.
is already kind of doing that. Tesla, BMW, they're all
Okay,
coming up with cars which you can just like switch on autopilot and just chill and it does everything.
but let's not take the light away from Volvo because I think Volvo did give their concept car to this movie if
They
I'm not
did, I
mistaken.
think
Yeah.
so. I am not entirely sure, but I'm
Yeah, if
sure
we're
that,
wrong, please post it in the comments below
yeah,
and
let
let us
us
know
know.
what car they used. That'd be really interesting.
They were on a shoestring budget, they couldn't put everything and anything in the movie, so they had to literally cut every single scene on a script basis. They didn't do it in edit. When they wrote the script and the story, they chopped off all of it. And apparently, he said it was taking a scalpel and not a machete because you don't want to chop off whole scenes. You want to keep the essence of every single shot clear.
What does that mean from a filmographer's point of view?
So it's like this. You don't want, say, one of the examples he gave was in the scene where the lead actor is getting stem. Uh,
Yeah, the
Gray is getting stem implanted into him. He wanted robotic arms to do the work since it's such a futuristic environment, and you gotta show that the doctors, you don't need skilled practitioners to do it, and you don't need X-rays because the machine does all the work. You just
yeah,
control it from a point of place, like
yeah,
a place.
remote control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it became the fact that he had to use VFX or alternative special effects for that scene, and it just wouldn't make sense to use that budget that they have, such a small budget, on that scene when they can depict it with actual humans. It is cheaper always to have a actual effect done physically rather than you create it in post, because that becomes a lot of work and a lot of time is consumed just because of that. So instead, they switched it to a very simplistic approach where you have surgeons who are these extras who act in it, and they have X-ray lenses in their eyes, or like lenses that can show you the body parts and everything.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
they just show the lens moving, and that's nothing. It's like 5 minutes in After Effects for a professional VFX artist. So it's like it's quick, it's easy, and it still gives the feeling of the entire thing. It's still very futuristic. You still need surgeons, but it doesn't mean they're completely, you have to rely on technology entirely. And it was a very beautiful scene where the camera pans over the operating room, and you have like the glass, and the certain pieces of the glass are, they show the X-ray itself. So if you're observing from, let's say, top, you're on the balcony or something, you can still see the operation, and you don't need to do much. You just clean it up in post. That's so simple to do rather than have actually show actual robotic arms to do the whole scene.
Fair enough. And also, I think another thing that they might have accidentally portrayed because of doing it like that is just that even an operation as complicated as putting a microchip onto your brain stem can be done in a procedure which is akin to like maybe getting a tattoo,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, they
It made it
use,
look like
yeah.
something which was kind of casual also to a certain extent. For to save someone's life, it doesn't take that much of an effort nowadays.
And actually, they kind of show that in the later scenes where he's fighting all these augmented human beings. They're technically machines. They're no longer humans, so they have like machine guns implanted into their arms to fire rounds.
Yeah.
And that means that opening up your body to just implant one tiny piece of technology is not a big deal, since the technology does half the work itself. They just need the precision. So you still need skilled scientists, but you don't need them as much, and they don't have to be. It doesn't have to be such a harrowing experience to cut someone's back open. It's very casual, like you said.
Yeah.
They get it done, and they're like, "Yeah, it will take a couple of days to walk. Maybe don't get too much hope." And then he just starts walking.
Yeah, that
And
was
that
ridiculous.
was that was excellent. I mean, that was fantastic. I think this is what I meant by death by a thousand cuts. They trim down every single shot to get just the essence, and you can see it in the movie. You can see it that there's not much happening in terms of fancy effects and all that, and they just show it with just simple uh, dialogue, if nothing else.
And I think they've recycled it or they've done it so smartly. I don't know if it was planned or such, but they made use of the lack of technology to
No,
to
it
give it
was,
an even better.
yeah, it was completely planned, because as he said, it had to be cut off on a script level. They could not change once they started shooting. So because you don't have that luxury to reshoot, you don't have the budget. It's nothing. $3 million is nothing. When you see like Iron Man all making, like at least having a budget of like 100 million, 200 million, 500 million, those are the numbers they're working with just for certain things. Actors salaries are $3 million.
Yeah.
or half the time. Like all these local actors also have like massive salaries.
Yeah, I mean, the main actor, his name is Logan Marshall Green.
Yes.
I mean, do I use the phrase that they said that he's like the poor man's Tom Hardy?
Yeah, he actually, I think I could envision Tom Hardy playing this role quite well.
But I also think that this guy is a really good actor by himself. I
Yeah,
don't think that people should be comparing him as a poor man's Tom Hardy. I mean,
true.
he's chosen a really good movie, and props to him for actually finding a movie which is so unique
Yeah.
like this.
And by the way, he's also done a bunch of other movies. He's played the Shocker in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay.
He's played I don't know, corporal or something in Sandcastle. He's done role in Snowden. He's also done role in Prometheus. He was Charlie Holloway.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember that.
He was there in 24. He was there in those. He's not just your average Joe. He's an experienced artist. He knows what he's doing, and I think that's why they selected him, because I think that was he was the one that they needed to portray that symbiote relationship the way he sees it. He's this man stuck in time who relies on old school technology, and he's been implanted by a device that he cannot
His acting
live
is a
without.
lot more gritty, if you think about
Yeah,
it.
and
compared to-
it's very natural. It's something that you would do if.
It's not like a facade that you can see very obviously. It's like you wouldn't be afraid to drool in front of someone because that's what most naturally comes to you when you're being hit in the stomach or something
Yeah,
like that.
that, that was that the way they've done that, I think, was.
Yeah. And I think his girlfriend in the movie,
She's a Power Ranger.
exactly. Yeah.
Don't mess with the Power Ranger. They killed the Power Ranger. She
Yeah.
was the blue Mystic Ranger from Power Rangers Mystic Force.
Okay. So
That's why.
So
That's
the
why the
lesson
movie
that we
happened.
learn is that if you mess with a Power Ranger, at some point you're going to pay the price.
Yeah,
At some
shit goes down like really fast.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, the movie, though, from a plot point of view, I don't know if other people would have gotten it, but I thought it was quite predictable, right?
you know what? I was just gonna say that. Okay, so
Yeah.
the movie, like at the very end, you kind of know. Okay, this guy's the bad guy, but the twist at the end didn't hit me.
Or didn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
it had two plot twists.
it had
towards the end.
three.
So which one was? Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Later.
Yeah.
But like you see it happens, and you're like yes, and then no, and then yes, and then no, and at the end you're just like, what? Just
True. Actually, yeah. What I've seen in most other movies for as an ending sequence was, I think there were like three different ending sequences, and it always made you think like, oh, okay, this is the end of the story, but no, there's
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Right? And they didn't wait to make it another sequel where they would make it the ending of another movie, but they just made it escalate further and further and further. So you just feel like it's just going way out of control and way out of scale.
So I read this in another interview. Apparently someone told him it doesn't matter how badly you fuck up the movie in the first few minutes of it, or you mess up an action sequence, or you mess up this scene or something. Don't worry about too much. Let the last 10 minutes of the movie be the most epic ending of all time. And that has to be the most memorable scene of the entire movie.
Makes sense.
And I think they did that.
Absolutely, they did that.
They did that without like.
It was a predictable ending, but at the same time, it was cathartic, and like I felt satisfied with it, even though I could see it coming to a certain extent. I thought of maybe like 15 different kinds of endings, and like quite a lot of them came true, and they were not even the endings, but quite a lot of the plot points that I thought were going to happen, they did end up coming in.
The fact that they actually spent so much time just getting that ending right, I think was excellent.
Yeah.
I don't know many movies who would spend that much of time on the ending, because it was just up down up, the emotions just went up and down and up and down and up and down. It's just so cathartic, like you said.
Yeah, cathartic in one sense, but I have to say that even though the ending was predictable, it doesn't end like how most movies do, where the hero or the hero ends up taking credit for everything and then living a life happily ever after. In this case, the person behind the scenes wins at the
Yeah,
end of the game, and
it's so the ending is basically STEM wins,
STEM wins. Yeah.
and STEM is the one who's orchestrated every single thing from the start. So he's the one who's caused the accident. He's the one who killed the Power Ranger, and he's the one who got him disabled. And he's the one who hired all those thugs. He's the one who did every single thing, and he's the one who convinced Gray to remove the input guard so that he would get, maximum control. But the one thing that, how he did that was spectacular is he found a hacker who would do it for him. And if you see the hacker and the way she I don't know what,
it's a very
androgynous
yeah.
character, how they behave, it's very much like someone who is a machine or is affected by STEM as well. Because STEM contacted the hacker.
You're right, actually.
And STEM told exactly what it has to be done. And if you see, in when STEM is first, getting acquainted with Gray, Gray tells whatever Gray tells, STEM has to listen to. If he says, "I don't want to talk to you," he doesn't talk to him. It's a command. It's a literal command. So it makes me think that STEM made sure that Gray would say remove input guards to the hacker.
Okay,
so it's a literal command. He's telling her to remove input guards, regardless of whatever was written on his arm.
Yeah.
He didn't write remove input guards. If he hadn't told remove input guards, he might have still had control.
That kind of brings you to the point, like, the best way to defeat an enemy is for the enemy to welcome his own demise.
Exactly.
That was an interesting point as well. He actually, STEM actually made the conditions in such a way that Gray himself as a character wanted to do the things that he originally wouldn't have agreed to so easily.
And he convinced Gray that the bad guys were, this and that and everything, and that he could decipher the weird drawing. Whether he could actually decipher it or not is another interesting thing. It looks like STEM had planned this from the beginning. Yeah. And it shows that. I mean, they show it, but every single aspect of that movie, it's explained just because STEM was the one who did every single thing. STEM wanted to evolve. He wanted to be not just a small machine that you'd listen to.
You're right, actually. So the questions that came up a lot when I was watching the movie was that we're at the advent of utilizing AI to improve our lives, right? And we had this original idea of when the robots take over the world, when AIs take over the world, they're going to come in the form of robots which have mechanical bodies and stuff like that. But this movie, and the one argument that I had against that was that robots will never be able to feel what humans feel. And this completely takes that away from the equation because the robot is integrated into the human itself.
And I think it's an interesting way that, since you mentioned, we invite our enemy to our home and he takes over, basically. So you come to a point where technology is something that you just, you can go to the doctor, you don't have an arm, get a new arm. You go to him, you need more strength, you need more muscle mass, you need something. You just go to the doctor and he just puts an implant that gives you all of this. At the end of it, the line between humanity and machine becomes blurred.
It does. And I think that is the main reason why STEM chose the main character, Gray, in this movie.
He did. He chose Gray because Gray was the only one who refused to embrace technology, and he knew that would give him a chance for him to feel whatever he would want to do and everything
he would be missing in terms of what he should be feeling, because all of the people in society in general are so integrated into this whole technology and living a life with AI controlling most of your aspects of your life. And there's this one guy over here who knows that there are certain things to being human that we have, there are certain aspects to being human that we have to do certain things by ourselves.
And I also think STEM chose him because he was the only one who was human.
We're at the advent and at a point where I think maybe by the time that we release this video, that Elon Musk would have
Yeah.
already talked about his ideas about Neuralink and what about taking over our lizard brain by putting a microchip in our brain stem, which is essentially STEM.
Same thing, yeah.
So, which is why the timing of us watching this movie was excellent, right? Because it gave us an idea about the fact that we might not be able to control the things that we're creating. And
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. You know, we can't control everything we create,
yeah,
and if we get to that point, that will be something we have to learn to live with.
it's like a living embodiment of Murphy's law. It's
Yeah,
just there.
it's going to be really scary. I mean, if you look
Yeah,
at it that way, I mean, I think this is what James Cameron had in mind when he did Terminator.
that does make sense a lot more now, actually.
This is what he wanted. Like, yeah, you create the technology, they're badass. You create Skynet, everything's connected and everything is awesome and everything. But at the end of it, you don't really have any control, do you?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I don't want to make the differentiation over here, but between the East and West, I mean, in the Western mindset of thinking, most people think that what makes our personality largely is due to our brain. Whereas in Eastern philosophy, it's more about the entire body itself is one being. It's not like the
Yeah,
brain
the
itself
brain
is,
is
it's not
separate.
it's not separate.
Yeah, it's not separate.
Yeah, it's just the body itself is a part of the brain, which is the entire thinking organism in itself. So when we're talking about something like the Neuralink, which is going to be coming up, and how that they're going to take over our impulsive decision making abilities and
But
stuff like that.
that's the thing. I think impulsive decision making is how a lot of people function, and without it, it doesn't make us human.
Yes, that would be a step into not being human as well. At least what would take us away from our humanity to a certain extent, but at the same time, we wouldn't hesitate from the things that usually bother us nowadays, which is why the Neuralink seems like such an amazing opportunity. Like, I would be tempted to put a Neuralink in my own brainstem as long as it didn't rewire me in some weird way.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't know how it will be.
So just in case I get one, you're the one who's gonna bail me out, you know?
Oh man.
This is why I allow you to be stronger than me on this.
Sure, I believe you.
So, but it brings a very good, I mean, idea of at least it creates that idea that we should debate or at least talk about how
Yeah, this is like the eve of awesomeness that we're creating, but is that awesomeness gonna bite you back in the ass? Is the question.
exactly. I
And
mean, it can be depicted by the first few fight scenes that where Stem takes over Gray's body and helps him fight. And you can see that the way that they fight is a lot more direct, brutal to the point.
yeah,
And
the this comes back to our point where we said there's no flow in it. It's just robotic because at the end of it, a fight sequence is not just on and off or attack and counter or attack and block. There's so many other things that are involved in that fight. But for a robot, it's very clear. You attack, you kill, it's done. Or you attack, you disable, and it's done. It's
exactly,
ones and zeros. Like
no
typically,
hesitation, just destroy. And I mean, there's a point where obviously it doesn't go to that point until and unless it's threatened. But once it's unleashed, it's just com- like I wouldn't even use the word force of nature
and
because
there's an interesting point where actually Stem would have been destroyed, and so would Grey have been killed in the final fight. where he's fighting with
The detective?
not the detective. Detective was
Oh, with the other
the other android, the main
no, not android.
antagonist.
It's not android. What's the one where humans are mixed with the
Cyborg.
yeah, cyborg. Yeah.
The one who killed his wife, basically the main bad guy, the main antagonist, up until this point.
Yeah.
And they're fighting, and there's a point where Stem is overcome because at the end of the day, Grey is still human.
Yeah.
He has weaknesses, and he's not machine. And he was to the point where he was almost down, and Stan was like, "Do something, Grey."
Exactly.
And it was Gray's talking. It was his talking down to his opponent that caused him to get distracted and worrisome and frustrated. That gave Stem an advantage to take over at that point.
It's true. Like
If
robots versus robots, if you think about it, then it's a lot harder to bring the unpredictability into a fight. So
yeah, there
they portrayed
is
that well in that fight as
there's
well.
no there's no unpredictable. Everything has an outcome, and it's
Yeah.
very clear that there is an outcome to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes fights just get diffused in the real world. You just don't. You just hey, cool man, chill. I'm sorry, whatever. It doesn't matter. You swallow your own ego to get it over with. But for a program, it's just very simple. You have a command. It has to be executed till the end. And despite its advancement, it's still a machine, which was very well portrayed. I think that's why the fight was won, because he convinced the other person to let his guard down. He was more machine, but he still had that little bit of humanity where you have your emotions, where you're angry, you're upset, you get worried, and he's like, "I killed your brother," and that's a thing that just affects you deeply, and that was what gave Stem the advantage.
Yeah. I mean, it's a book taken out of the it's a page taken out of the art of war, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when your enemy is calm, you agitate them. It makes sense totally.
And the ending, the finale, basically. Um, I think that was just. I mean, I'm repeating it again, but I think that was just spectacular. The way Stem controlled Gray's emotions to cause him to get stuck in his own brain.
Exactly. I mean, I the you know that most movies that I watch with you, I end up hating the movie because the ending is so typical. Like they always want all the good guys to survive and all the bad guys to die, and I get bored quite easily because of this. And I voiced my opinion to you so many times
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
that
absolutely.
the ending is terrible because I saw that coming. These guys are going to survive in the end anyway, and the fact that he lost, but not in the typical way, but he lost himself completely, and
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
broken to the point of complete defeat. And this is not death in the sense that, oh, I'm dead now, I can't do anything about it. It's like I can do something about it, but I have no will to do it anymore, and that is like true
There was
defeat.
no will. I don't think there was any will at that point. He got him to the point where he believes everything was a dream.
Exactly. So
And
he's stuck in his own
and the
illusion.
fact that Stem put this several times before the ending was how well he's planned it. If you remember,
Yeah.
there are a couple of scenes where he remembers Blue, Mr. Granger, who's the heroine, by the way.
Oh, okay. He does.
Yeah, don't you remember?
Oh.
He's at the point where he's at his worst, and then he sees his wife, and she's just talking to him.
Oh, I thought I didn't see a blue Power Ranger suit, but
No,
okay,
Blue Power Ranger, because
like
she's the Power Ranger, dude.
she's the
Come on,
Power Ranger. Okay, okay.
jeez.
Yeah, he does see her
He sees
actually.
her only twice after a lot of the events have happened, and
Yeah.
that is to force him for the long game. That means Stem is really the best learning machine, and he has learned. He's learned how to break an enemy,
Yeah.
not just by fighting, but by
Sitting and observing
observing
each and
patiently
everything.
and
Yeah.
waiting, and that broke him at the very end. And
Exactly.
and if you see, the last scene of it is where Gray licks his wounds, It's a callback to the first scene where he cuts his hand and he licks his wound.
It's not the same thing. Or it's like a cycle, but things have changed.
No, now Stem knows how to be human.
Oh.
Because in the first one, you cut your hand, you lick it. It's
Yeah.
instantaneous, it's instinct. It's not something that you would do. The moment you cut your hand, you always go, I need to
Yeah.
fix that.
So
It's the lizard brain.
so you think it's Stem's way of portraying the fact that he has tapped into the human instinct?
Yes, I think it's beginning to get more human, and now that it has a connection directly to all of his neural pathways, it is just now slowly understanding and becoming more than human. Like they said, it's not machine, it's not
It's not
human,
human either.
it's more.
It's something more. Yeah.
So STEM has actually learned the ability to be human, at least to starting to learn how to do that, because it broke Gray's brain. It broke him just by playing out these
Situations. Yeah.
situations. And then it also understands, oh, this is instinct. Okay, I have a wound, I need to lick it. Why it licks it, maybe it might learn eventually in its journey to rule mankind. But the fact that he killed his creator because he's the only other person who could create STEM meant that STEM doesn't want more of his kind. He doesn't want to rule the
He
world.
wants to be a big fish in a small pond.
And he wants to be unique. He wants to be the only one of its kind.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about that. Okay. So I'm gonna watch this movie again.
Me too. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth watching again. It's not one of those movies where
there's so many, like every single scene is unique. I think
Yeah.
they've shown it really well, and like you get a lot more out of each of those scenes just by rewatching them and with a new thing. And now that we've discussed this, it definitely gives more opinions, more things that you can see in the movie,
absolutely.
just like Sicario.
Okay, that movie's done. Right?
No,
Gary
my
Villeneuve
favorite.
will be coming out with a new movie. I forget which one that is.
Really?
Yeah,
I want to watch that.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yes.
But in the meantime, watch Upgrade.
Watch Upgrade.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. The should we call it the Venom movie you never saw?
The Venom movie you should see.
That's better. Yeah.
The Venom movie you should see.
Yeah. And if you have any comments or anything that you liked about the movie as well, or anything that we
Just
discussed,
put it down in the comment section.
write it down below, and we would love to have a bunch of new ideas, because every time we watch the same movie over and over again, there's always things that we find that we missed before.
For sure.
And we would definitely like to have more eyes on it and see what other people are seeing. It'd be really good to see what other people notice as well from these
Definitely.
movies.
And we should watch Sicario 2 next.
Sicario 2 next.
Starts with a bang.
Yeah.
Bye.